Welcome back to another episode of Not Ready to Grow Up. I'm your host, omnia.
And I'm your host, Jason.
Minda's not here today. She's at work, but it's just Jason and I. And also, this is a weird day we're uploading. We're not uploading on a Thursday. We're uploading on a Saturday.
Yeah, so you guys have already commenced into your weekend, and hopefully you are having a good weekend so far. And I can actually say that because this episode will be uploaded as soon as we are done recording this on Saturday afternoon. So yeah, enjoy your weekend, and I hope you have enjoyed your weekend thus far.
Yeah. We're not changing like upload days or anything. It's just we had a hectic week, so it was just easier to move to today. Also, if you hear any noises or rustling in the background, my cat is trying to open my dog's dental chews. They're my dog's dental chews, not hers, and she thinks they're hers. So there's that. And then my neighbors are having a little kid's birthday party, so they're playing the Phineas and Ferb soundtrack and being extremely loud. So that's why I have so much noise happening back here. Also, this is so off topic and random, but are you free next week on Friday?
Am I free? Let me check. I have work from 11:30 to 2:30, and that's it.
Minna's senior night game, lacrosse senior night game, is next week on Friday.
Oh, really? What time?
It's at 5.
Ooh, I might be able to go.
If you ride Metro, I can pick you up.
Are you sure? Okay, we'll coordinate after, but yeah, I feel bad because I would need you to pick me up and drop me off. But
Did Denise want to go?
I can ask her. I don't know I know she's going home, but she'll be back in DC by the time Mena's lacrosse game arrives.
Bryce and Lonray are going.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. I should be able to go. I'll ask Denise if she wants to go too. It's so nice because of our U-Pass, we can ride the Metro for free.
Lucky ducks.
Yeah. Well, it's not for free. We had to pay $100, but we don't have to pay upfront, which is nice.
Everyone heard us live and in person plans.
Yeah, this is how we plan stuff just on because it's like I don't know why I was gonna say like I always forget, but we are literally like friends just talking, so you'll see stuff like this.
And like because our like school semester is like winding down, it's coming to an end, it's a lot easier to plan stuff like this than if it was like in the middle of the year and the beginning of the year. It's so much harder to like plan something because our schedules are so hectic in the middle of the year. As you guys saw that we have like missed a couple episodes or later uploads, like life happens also, but like it's so hard during things, whereas things are coming to an end, there's a bit more flexibility.
Yeah, and that actually is a great segue, because we have been busy, but this is a great segue into what we wanted to talk about for this episode, which is mainly towards our college listeners, but can be applied to anyone, is preparing for finals, which I don't know why it sounds like I just contradicted myself, but I mean, really preparing for any big major like thing. But yeah, like for me personally, this upcoming week is my last week of classes for the semester, and then the first week of May I have finals, and so things will be wrapping up for me very quickly. And I know many of you are either preparing to study for finals or wherever you may be, but yeah, so we are going to give you some tips so that you can prepare, feel confident with your finals, and then go out and enjoy your summer.
I like in high school, I never studied for my exams or anything. I would just always pass when I would take them. It was like I thought the answers were pretty easy and it was like common knowledge, but like you can't really do that in college. Like you can't just like study because you're not gonna pass.
Yeah, it's so that is one thing. Like there are people that say like, oh, college is so much easier, and maybe it is in terms of like, because I think like in terms of schoolwork, college is easier than high school, but in terms of exams, like you cannot get by not studying. You may be able to pass, but there are times where if you don't study, you probably won't pass the course.
Like I've never like I think I tried it once in like my freshman year of college where I didn't study. And like I think the grade I got was like a C or something on the test that I took. And that made me realize like I can't just like wing it. I've always, ooh, excuse me. I've always studied for my exams. Granted that sometimes studying and you might not be studying the right way, and then you get like the test wrong. You get a bad grade on the test because you didn't study appropriately. So like just figuring out tips and tricks on what works for you. I found that for me, it's just easier for me to read the textbook and take my own notes based on the textbook, because I can take notes in the class, but am I really retaining the information that is said, or am I just copying down what's on the board?
Yeah. One thing that I see a lot of people, I don't know about your classes, but in my classes, so like I am in a lot of classes where my professors give out like PowerPoints and then they go through the PowerPoint and that's how they teach the course. And I've been seeing, and these professors, most of them give us the PowerPoint beforehand so we can see what's on it before we have class that day. And I see a lot of people like have iPads and they download it and then they take notes on the iPads, which, because for me personally, I found it a lot easier to like take notes that way by where you're actually like, looking at the PowerPoint. Because a lot of the times where I've taken notes in classes, I'm just literally writing down what's already given to me. Whereas if you actually have the PowerPoint, you can expand upon what's already given to you.
Yeah, I prefer to handwrite my notes. It just helps me memorize what I'm like learning. Like for example, for one of my classes, after I'm reading the textbook, but as I'm reading the textbook, I jot down important information that it's important to know or I would need to know later. Which for me, it helps me remember it more because I read it and then I wrote it down.
Yeah.
I had one class in undergrad where the professor did not use PowerPoints, and she expected you to have already read the chapters, and then she would just write everything on the chalkboard, but she would write so all over the place and messy. It was so hard to follow. And like that was the only class in undergrad I ever did poorly in, which I was like really upset about. I mean, I still passed the class, but not the kind of grade I would have liked it to be because of how I can't learn like that. Like I need a PowerPoint, but I don't need to copy the PowerPoint, but it helps me follow along.
No,
And
yeah.
it also helps kind of clarify what I read in the textbook, because sometimes what you read in the textbook can be very confusing. Especially
Right.
first time like learning about this subject or this topic and you don't know anything about it, like reading about, and you could be confused and have questions. It's like I think it's easier to have the PowerPoint because it might clarify some things or it might help like answer your questions. And then if you still have something to ask, you can still ask it, obviously. But I
Yeah.
just feel like it organizes my thoughts. So when my old professor did that in undergrad, I was like, I can't follow. Like I really can't follow what you're saying.
Yeah. My freshman year, I had a class where my professor, like, no PowerPoint, he didn't write anything on the board. He just sat there and just talked out of his head, just basically said what was on his mind. He had no notes. So you basically took notes by just hearing what he said. And that really sucked because it was so hard to follow along and like know what to take notes on. And so what I used to do for that class is I would like go on my phone and record the entire lecture on voice memos so that I could go back, which wasn't the best method, but yeah, it reminded me because we did have a textbook for that class, but it was super hard to navigate. It was online. You had to like do two different logins just to access the textbook. And then you had to like take courses just to be able to access the textbook further. So it was kind of difficult. Luckily, though, that class was very much based on essays and not tests. So that was nice. But yeah, it can, depending on the type of class you're in, it can be easier or more difficult for you to navigate how you can take notes. Because I know like I like to handwrite my notes too. And I'm actually going to buy an iPad this summer because they have the Apple Pencil. You can still like handwrite your notes, but it's just on the iPad. But I know that some people like you can have your preferred way of taking notes and preparing for that. But it could change based on the class and based on how the professor teaches. So it's important to keep that in mind as well.
I had a professor in undergrad. I had her twice, and she also didn't use a PowerPoint. But the one thing she did do that I liked was her classes were small. Like it wasn't as many students. I think we had between 5 to 10 students in the class. So we would sit in like a circle together. And obviously she expected us to have read the chapters before coming to class. But after you've read the chapters, she would open the book and you would follow along with her, and she would go through what she thought in the book and highlight what is important and talk more in detail about that. So then I would do this thing where I'd read the chapter, take my own notes. And then when she starts talking, I would go to the page in the section she's talking about. And then I would like asterisk it in my notes or like write more in my notes about how she brought this up, how that's important. So then when the exam came, I'm remembered because she did bring that up. And because it was a smaller class, we were able to sit in like a circle and really like, it was more personal to learn through that way, because it's not like a PowerPoint, she's lecturing at us, but it's like more of like, we're actually talking about it, and it's more and like we kind of got to apply it in a sense, which really helped.
I mean, that actually reminded me of the class I'm in right now. I'm taking a business law class, and a lot of what we do in the class is like we look at like right now we're dealing with this law called Section 230, which some of you may have heard of. It's basically the law that says that like internet service providers, websites, and social media websites can't be held liable for what people post on their network. And we're reading about a ton of different cases, and a lot of it is super, super subjective. And in the sense of like Republicans can have one viewpoint of it and Democrats have another. And we were looking at this video of the senator from Missouri who proposed this bill, but it was very like Republican centered and neglected to understand some of the viewpoints of what Section 230 is. And there's also videos of Joe Biden talking about it and also neglecting some like viewpoints of what this law actually is. But it reminded me of that class because we talk everything out and we have like readings and stuff, but they're all very complex because they're actual court debriefs. And we just spend the entire class just like talking about and analyzing. And I do the same thing where I like star certain points of it and like keep that in mind, because we don't have exams in that class. We have papers, and I literally just finished a draft yesterday for this class, and like I just apply it but for the paper instead of an exam.
My friend, her mom is a lawyer, and she also teaches law and criminal justice, and she does these mock trials, and she takes like real trials that have happened and like has her students kind of like act it out for their class. And there's also like a mock courtroom, so they use that. And she was like telling me today, like she was telling me if I wanted to sit in on it next year just for fun, like be a fake juror. Like she always like invites alumni to come back. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it, even though I've never seen a law firm. Yeah, I'll sit in.
One of the court cases we went over was Stratton Oakmont out of Jordan Belfort. Because in this law that I was talking about was created in 1996, and it was actually created because of Stratton Oakmont, because there was this internet service provider in the mid 90s called Prodigy, where basically it was kind of like, it was essentially like a Twitter, but for the 90s, where you could like message people and post stuff that a ton of like anyone could see. And this guy who was actually never found, like no one found out who actually did this, was posting about Stratton Oakmont saying that they're criminals and that they like they're like scamming people and like basically essentially ratting them out on what they were legitimately doing, which is how Jordan Belfort was imprisoned and now is $100 million in debt. But it was funny because they sued Prodigy because they're like, hey, this person posted this and you didn't like filter this out and you let everyone see it. And they basically said that it was defaming Stratton Oakmont, which in the later years it was not defaming because Stratton Oakmont was actually doing what this person was claiming. But it was interesting to like see that. And we also discussed that. Like it's not really like a mock as cool as a mock trial, but like we'll talk about like Stratton Oakmont and like, okay, so they did this. So why is Stratton Oakmont wrong? Why can't they sue Prodigy? Or actually, Prodigy lost because even though they had nothing to do with that post, this law wasn't created, so they weren't protected, and so they took full liability for this random person. And then Section 230 was created later, and then we're learning. We just did one about Grinder. That's interesting. This guy had met someone on Grinder, and they had a relationship, but it ended kind of badly. And this guy went on Grinder, impersonated his ex-boyfriend, and was saying really, really horrible stuff about like different things and different people. And so this guy sued Grinder, and they're like, "Hey, you didn't do anything about like my ex-boyfriend making a fake account and saying all this bad stuff under my name." And then he ended up, this was actually a super recent case. Like I think it was decided in 2019, but he ended up losing because Grinder was protected by this law where this dude that made the fake account was not held liable, or Grinder was not held liable for his actions.
That's insane.
Yeah, this class is actually cool. I really like it. That's why I'm so interested about your mock trial thing. That's so cool. Did you know that Johnny Depp, his trials in Virginia, like really close?
Yeah, I found that out 2 days ago. And because, okay, so my sister and I happened to have been watching, we weren't watching it, it was just kind of on. CNN was just on TV. And her and I were like, her and I totally forgot about Johnny Depp. And she's like, I saw TikToks of his facial reactions of every time they said something to him. It was funny. And as we're looking at it, it said location is in Fairfax, Virginia. And her and I like, wait, what? Like we could literally just drive up there.
Yeah, I followed this account on TikTok, and she like just like interviews random people about different things in like Georgetown, DC, and Virginia, like that area. And she went to the courthouse where Johnny Depp was having his case, and it was in Fairfax. And she was interviewing people that were standing in front of there, how long they had been there, and why they were there. And I was just like, wow, that's so close. Like I was so close to that.
Yeah, that's insane. We kind of segued quite a bit.
Apologies to our listeners.
What are we talking about? I'm like having like a brain fart moment.
It's okay. I'll segue us back into what we were going to talk about. So this year, personally, I have only one final exam, which is a lot nicer than there have been semesters where I've had 5 final exams. And as somebody that has been through semesters where you have a ton of finals to prepare for, if you are going through something similar, one thing I advise is prioritize your first finals, which maybe sounds like common sense, but trust me, if you start studying for a final that's in a week versus a final that's in 3 days and you allocate that time, you won't do as well. You maybe if you like prepare it like a month in advance, you might be fine. But like if you're like me and you procrastinate, always prioritize studying completely for the exams that are first. And then once you complete that, then you start for the next exam and so on.
Yeah, I agree. For grad school, it's a bit different. I've only had like a few exams. Most of my like classes needed like final papers or whatever. I have one exam and one like video that I have to do for one of my classes, but that's about it, like to end my semester. And that's not till like mid-May. Like I still have some time, but
very nice. Yeah. This exam, I don't even know if my final exam, it's in cognitive psychology. So I'm yeah, this class, I actually really like cognitive psychology. If you are have an opportunity to take classes in college, take psychology courses. I'm not saying that we're biased, even though I may have majored in it and is in grad school, and I am minoring in psychology. It's just just genuinely interesting. And like at my school, like we have like a lot of like very specific psych courses, but the only way to be able to take them is if you take general psych. But like I've been able to take humanistic psychology, social psychology, biopsych, and now I'm in humanistic psychology. And there is overlap, but it's really cool because within that overlap, you get to dive deeper in something that you may have glazed over, haven't really gotten to like learn that much about. So take different classes. It also helps like with broadening your horizons, and it also can help you with employers or internships because they like to see that you have a versatile skill set.
You're not wrong, my guy.
I'm gonna segue us off real quick, but in my cog psych class, we did this one task where we were learning about different like light and like how light can illuminate different colors. And there's this one specific shade of yellow that if you hold any like shades of blue under it, you won't be able to see anything. So, and it's the same like the same illuminance that street lights give off. So we brought one into class and he gave us each like a handful of different colored M&Ms and we had to hold it under the light and all of them became the same color. I just thought that was really cool. And it's only this very, very specific shade of yellow.
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
I think this is a Disney princess themed birthday party because everybody there is wearing like Disney princesses dresses. They rented out a bouncy house in their backyard. A bouncy house.
That sounds so fun. I really want to go to Sky Zone. I know Sky Zone isn't a bouncy house, but
I haven't been there in a while.
I want to go back.
Though I saw like somebody, like an acquaintance, they're not really a friend, but an acquaintance, they went and they like broke their arm out there.
Common acquaintance L. I'm
Even
sorry.
Even the moms are wearing dresses.
That's elite. For our listeners, this isn't going to be a full episode on school. Omnia is ready for the semester to end. I'm ready for the semester to end. I'm sure if you are in school, you are ready for your semester to end. And if you are not in school, you're ready to just have some fun either way. So
I will tell you, like, if you all want to really talk about something, how exhausted I am. Let me read you how my schedule went this week because so let me go to my calendar. I saw you and Denise on Sunday the 17th, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, the very next day I worked a morning shift.
Yes, you did. That is true because Omnia told me. And this now, she told me too.
And then when I got off at 3, I had class at 5. Tuesday, I was home, which was nice. I got to chill out for a second. Wednesday, I had agreed to meet with somebody so they can interview me for one of their assignments. So I had to be on campus earlier than usual. And then I had class at 5. Thursday, I worked the morning shift, which after that, I got home and napped till dinner time. Then I worked yesterday evening. Today I went to the lacrosse game. Tomorrow I'm working a morning shift. And then Monday I have class again. And then Tuesday I'm working an evening shift. But then starting next week from Wednesday up until not next Friday, but the May 6th, I'm not working because I have so much going on with school. And I have a lot of interviews going on for stuff with school too. So like I'm just kind of like I can't be juggling like 12,000 things. So I've been working a bunch this past week because for the next week I won't be working because I'm just like I can't keep up with like work and school at the same time. So I'm giving myself that week to finish up as much as my schoolwork as I possibly can. My semester technically does not end till May 16th. But all my assignments for grad school are due May 16th, but my last class is May 16th.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I'm in the same boat. I've been like these past few weeks, I've been working not as many hours a week as I have been before, just because I've been so busy with school. But now that I have a little bit more time, I'm picking up more shifts. But the week the first week of May will be the last week that I work my current job, just because I want to give myself some time to enjoy it before I start my internship. And I already like I've worked a lot, and I like just like this past week I've done a lot of work and uh gotten some money just like saved up so that I can enjoy my time. But yeah, it's been insane. I've been doing interviews too for jobs in the fall because I'm doing less credits due to some issues that my advisors did not tell me about in terms of classes being scheduled in the fall or spring only. Yeah, so I'm taking less credits next semester. And so I'm trying to have the job that I have now, along with another job that I literally found out yesterday that I just got, which is great because I low-key missed the interview for it. But and then yeah, so we just home stretch. That's all I can say.
I applied for a GA position for grad school. It's like the social, it's like the social media person for the grad school. And I
Oh,
used the podcast. I sent them the link of the podcast and all the social medias for the podcast. And I was like, I can run a social media account.
no, that's honestly so good. When I was in for my business fraternity, when I was interviewing for them, I told them about the podcast, and some people actually listened to it. I don't know if you've noticed, but some people from my fraternity have like liked the like our stuff on Instagram. I shared it with them, so
That's
yeah.
kind of cool. I haven't noticed though. That's kind of cool. I mean, I noticed Denise's little brother watches our podcast story. Shout out to Jonas.
Hi, Jonas.
Oh, we love Jonas. But yeah, I've always seen his come up first. But I just registered for my grad classes for fall, and I'm taking a class in the summer because I have the flexibility to do
I'm taking a class in the summer too, but my class is a weird class.
I'm taking it in summer one, not summer two, because I'm going on vacation on the second half of summer, so I won't be able to take a class then, but I'm doing it and it's online, so it's not that bad. But then in the fall, there was like this whole like hectic like mess with trying to get into this one class because I'm supposed to start practicum in the spring of 2023, which means I have to go to the Zoom orientation maybe in early May and have to do all this stuff to prepare for it in the fall, but I have to take a specific class. And the site we used to register for classes told me I wasn't authorized to take that class for the fall. And I emailed my advisor and she said, well, no, you're allowed to. You took the prereqs. You should be able to sign up for it. And I was like, it won't let me. And so then I reached out to the professor and I reached out to our school's registrar's office. And it was confusing because everyone's like, you can't really take the class unless you're planning on doing practicum right after. So I can't really let you take the class if you're not going to take practicum. I was like, well, I am going to take practicum. And then so like everyone was like, wait, you are? Like it was like back and forth, like confusion almost, like, and I was like, I don't know, like my advisor, it's not like my advisor needs to like tell these other professors what we talk about in our advising meetings and like what my plan is, but if I am on this specific track, you should at least be aware of it. However, I'm not going to hold it against anybody. I got in the class anyways. I was scared I was going to not get into the class. And apparently they sent out an email, the registrar's office, saying that there was some like error with some of the students or whatever. So like a bunch of people, I guess, couldn't get into the class at first. 3 days after registration, though, they told me I could get into the class. So I registered. So I went back and re-registered again and got in. So I got all my classes, but it was a mess.
Yeah, no, I know how you feel. For last semester, this semester I'm in right now, next fall and next spring, my schedules are literally if I don't get into at least one of these classes, or like if I don't get into any of these classes that I have scheduled to take, then I don't graduate. So it's like everything is like just heart palpitations. And I registered for classes last Tuesday or this past Tuesday. I thankfully got into all of my classes, but yeah, there was one course though. So I'm majoring in info systems, and we have to take a capstone course that has 6 prerequisite courses. And one of the prerequisite courses I have not taken, and it's only offered in the spring. And so I was like, I don't know what to do. But there is a graduate version offered in the fall. And so I emailed the department head, and he told me that I can either take the graduate course in the fall or try to take the undergraduate version in the spring. And then I was like working it out with him, and we went back and forth. And then eventually he said that they would offer me like an, I guess like some sort of like excuse to take the capstone and that prerequisite course at the same time, because he was like, I don't want you taking the graduate version. So I was like, okay, which is why I'm in less credits now. And then, yeah, my summer class, it's not like an actual class. So as a part of the business school, I have to do this 1 credit course that's basically like an interactive course that basically showcases what I've learned in the past 1 credit courses that I've taken. And so my internship this summer actually counts. So I'm going to technically sign up for the class, but also I don't really have to do anything for it. I just get the credit for being in this internship. And
Gotcha.
so that's literally my summer course with my weird quotations.
Yeah, I mean, for the audio listeners, Jason does quotations, all funny. It's like air quotes look funny, but yeah, our podcast episodes are going to be a little wonky for the next couple weeks as we wrap up our school schedule, and then once we're hit the summer, when we're recording a lot of fun episodes with a lot of cool people, and then I think we're going to have our season 1 of the podcast end sometime in mid-July, so be on the lookout for that. In August, we'll pick back up again with season 2. But just looking ahead, planning ahead. A lot of people were telling me this week that like I planned way too far in advance. But for me, I have to do that. Like at least with friends, we can plan 2 weeks in advance. But for my job, they give us our schedules a month in advance. So I know my entire May work schedule.
Oh, wow.
So so I have to plan accordingly in advance because of that. And a lot of people don't get it. Some people do. And it's like, that's why I'll like plan for like June or July, like so far in advance. It's like, we're not even at May yet, but it's because I already know my May schedule. I need to anticipate what's coming after.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess it won't really matter for me. Because I like pretty much for the entire month of May, I'm off. I have like some work and stuff, but I'm off. And then June is when I start. But I think it's just going to be like a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday type of vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I know what you mean.
Omnia, knock, knock.
Who's there?
It's the outro. Thank you so very, very much for listening to yet another episode of the Not Ready to Grow Up podcast. If you like what we are providing your ears with, and you would like to see visually with your eyes more stuff, as well as when we're posting and other updates going on with the podcast, please follow us on all of our socials. If you do not know at this point and you are a previous listener, what are you doing? But if you are a new listener, thank you so much for giving your time to listen to what we have to share with you. You can find us on Instagram at Not Ready to Grow. And I believe that our Twitter is
At NRTGU podcast.
okay. Yeah. And then whether you're listening to us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, continue doing your thing. We greatly appreciate it. And if you want to give us feedback as well, we're always open ears. And if there's anything you guys would like to hear us talk about, we'd be happy to do it. So yeah.
Share the podcast with your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, your uncles, your grandma, your grandpa, your friends, your cousins, your dog, your cat. Share it with your neighbor. Let everybody know.
Also, if you know Scotty Barnes, who just won Rookie of the Year today, share it with him too.
And comment what's your favorite thing about the podcast, or your favorite thing we talk about on the podcast, or comment what you want us to talk about. Comment anything, actually.
You can comment your best friend's birthday. We'll give them a shout out.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Omnia, any last words for the episode?
Mine is good.
All right.
Oh, Miss Scott just answered me.
No way. The
Yeah, she
first
was
time.
mad at me.
All right. This is the first time. It took this long for Miss Girl to answer you. Okay. All right. This is Jason Derulo signing off.